Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is October the 26th, 2023 on the ancient moon calendar, 2024 on the ancient sun calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the sovereign living justices, and ego sum, Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capit et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Israelites, Hamathites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, our honor, our energy, are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign ancient empire state for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We're ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earthwide Article 3, Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are exercising and honoring the law by our sovereign status, which is the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign ancient Article 3 living United States District for Columbia Court. And we are the sovereign fiduciaries. We're the original creditors. We're the executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, titled beneficiaries, and titled trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign ascension. We do hereby possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war, and we hereby exercise all eternal, ancient, sovereign, original rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. The principles that we share are not our opinion. Along with our sovereign, powerful demonstrations and study, these laws and processes that we share are based on principles of stare decisis, res judicata, ancient, positive, supreme law for the land, long established in sovereign and civic order. Erudite principles and processes for daily practical application to intelligently govern our vast estate every day is what our ancient ancestors have given us to share with the ancient sovereign nations, tribes, clans, states, and governments at earth. And for this, we are grateful. Islam. So we are going to go ahead and lock the meeting and open the tables for our congressional discussions. The first thing we want to discuss is the following. As we looked back in from our memory, we're not looking in the funny mirror. We're looking from our memory of the last era's enactment. I have a question for you. There was a specific nation and set of nations in the last era that whenever we saw media about this nation and their enactments from the last era, all we ever saw was the super wealthy enactments. Fast cars, large palatial domiciles, and their commerce was just vast from what it appeared in the last enactment. Can someone take a guess or make a statement about who that might be that we're discussing? Because we're discussing them for a specific reason today.
Islam, the creditors.
Yes, they were pretending to be. Yes, they were actually pretending to be us, the creditors. There's a specific nation that we are speaking about. This specific nation just showed how much. I mean, every time you saw them, they just showed how much wealth they possessed in their enactment. All of the videos that we saw about them, fast, just, top of the line. Yes, Justice Harold put it in the chat. Okay. He put it in the chat. It was Dubai, United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates. United being, they were an enactment of what states that come together and are united can do. Something, and I'm bringing them up for a reason. I'm gonna tie them to us because they tie themselves. They did this. They tied themselves to us in a video that I saw recently. As usual, it's through our sons. But every time you saw them, you saw the fastest, the best, and then when they built things, they built things that you wouldn't see in other parts of the earth, supposedly. They always wanted to build the tallest, the best, the fastest. They had the best engineers, they had the best builders and architects and workmen, and then they used the best products and fabrics and materials and things of that nature. It was the United Arab Emirates that encompassed all of the small those oil producing nations in the enactment. So I've been paying a lot of attention lately, and I know that it's not for nothing. The ancestors pretty much just put things in front of us to let us know what's coming and what to prepare for. And so as I was watching one of the videos from one of the channels that I watch where we get to see what's coming for us is the Emirates News Agency. Emirates News Agency. And the Emirates News Agency just shows a lot of about how nations greet one another. So when other nations come to talk with us and to greet us and so on, how to receive them. They just show video after video of how to receive each other, how we're supposed to greet each other, what that's supposed to look like, how we roll out the red carpet and bring out the best of everything to greet one another, even if there is some bits of abrasion between the nations. I saw videos of them having North Korea and South Korea and China and all the other nations, Egypt, and they enacted all of them coming to the UAE to meet with both the national government and the corporate government. So we'll talk about that in just a moment, because that is a model that we are demonstrating right now, and we'll continue to talk about how that works. All of those Lamborghinis and Bugattis and those who are automobile enthusiasts, who are vehicle enthusiasts, know about the enactments where just it didn't matter the price. You would see it on the streets at Dubai in their enactment. That is because they mastered the enactment of having the national government oversee the corporate structure. They mastered it. They mastered it. And that became evident the more I looked at the videos and translated the videos that I saw. I would just, select the words and translate them and see what is this that I'm looking at. I would see them where the father of their nation, as you know, that they have a family that is ruling the United Arab Emirates. And when I thought about all of that and the words and the language, the ancestors made it very clear what they were enacting and what really happened. The family, the name of the family, does anyone know the name of the family that was enacting ruling the UAE and Dubai? Does anyone know? Islam. The name of the family that was enacting ruling Dubai, and there are different spellings for this, but I'll put it on the screen. Let me share my screen with you. Just a moment so that we can see exactly what was happening. So the name of the family, and they were indeed a family. Family means servant. The name of the family is the Maktoum family. Maktoum. And yes, they did mock the tomb situation. Let me pull this up a little bit. As I began to look at how it is that through all of the enactments of lack, nations looking just absolutely poor and all of that, how is it that they continue to prosper? What did they do? Yes, Justice Williams says we're getting the same message. Yes, let me tell you how they did it. Yes, I do. Yes, indeed, Noble Things, we'll do that. The Maktoum family, as I watched the videos and listened to what they said and watched what they did, I noticed that they kept, by way of the father who had been enacting ruling for 30 or 40 years, and before that his father, 30 or 40 years, and before that his father. What they were doing was they kept the national government above everything else. They kept a ruling court of nationals above all else. And then what they did was they had the son of the ruler, one of the sons, he has many sons, and they're all active in governing. But the eldest, I believe he's the eldest son, he brought the commercial piece competently without capitulating. He stayed in control of the corporate government the whole time. They didn't let foreign, modern, colonial, anybody come in and tell them how to run the corporate arm of their government, whereby things are gained. where you use the all caps or whatever. They never let anyone foreign come in and do that. What they did was they sent their children here. The son that is governing the corporate arm, in their enactment, the corporate arm, came here to be educated in all things corporate. And he took what he learned back to his national government, and they enacted putting it into play for them over there. And here's the thing, because they did not capitulate their national government, they were able to bring in everything that they wanted, cars, conveyances, domiciles, all of that, using the corporate arm, but they kept the national government over that and active. And because it was his son agreed to the overseeing by his father and the elders. And there are some younger ones in the court that they kept active there. So the principles of national government, they know them well, very, very well, very well. And never once did they allow any foreigners to come in and start doing things and governing. Never once did they ever do that. They would send the heirs to this land here to learn all they could about corporate government and how it works and all of that. And they took the principles back and let the national government say yay or nay to what they did and didn't do in terms of how best to use the all caps. And that way, everyone over there, everyone who was of the bloodline and birthright and born on that land was a national. So they've all prospered. They were all a part of the royal family. Everyone who was in business and engineers and this and that, everyone was prosperous. But that national government, Mohammed Rashid Maktoum, he actually calls himself Mohammed Al-Rashid Maktoum because he's claiming his father's heritage, which, let me show you a photo that he showed of his father to, and this is the thing about when the modern ones go to these different places to meet with these the heads of state. The first thing they do is take them to a room somewhere or show them somewhere their grandfathers. And they always say, "This is my grandfather." And the grandfather always looks like us. So this is the grandfather of Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum at Dubai. Okay. So everyone who's willing to come in can come in. The meeting is open. And so they have photos of their ancestors up, big giant photos up in these sacred rooms, almost like an altar. And they show photos of their ancient grandmothers and grandfathers. And you can see on the photo, the video. This is one of the videos that I watched. It's from BBC News. I generally don't watch BBC News because it is, an enactment. But this is one of the videos, Noble Phoenix, right here, that we watched, where he was there. One of the modern Europeans went there to interview the one who was the national government. The national government.
Bullshit.
Somebody is having a problem, aren't they? And so they never left the ways of their ancient foremothers and forefathers.
You're fucking full of shit, Pauline.
They did not. They kept the national government active. They kept the court above the national government. I've watched video after video after video just to make sure that I get what they're doing, where they're meeting heads of state and showing how they greet one another and things of that nature, so that as we continue to rise, that we do things in a manner that is far above and beyond anything we could have ever imagined in terms of greeting one another.
If you were rising, you'd take over that post office.
So when it came to here, let me in fact go to this is the channel here, Emirates News Agency channel. This is one of the channels that I've been drawn to recently, so that we can see how ancient government is done. I will say this, that you can also see how when there was any sign of capitulation on the part of any of the actors, that immediately poverty took hold, including the United Arab Emirates. Right now, there is, or I can't say right now, but in their enactment, it is stated by all of them while I'm watching these interviews that, you know, they experienced some economic.
How can you have a cold, Pauline? You're immortal, aren't you?
So, with that, poverty came in, but it was only when the national government stopped doing national things and started doing corporate things, because corporate looked so good and so prosperous. See, we can have all of those things. We can have all of the stuff, quote unquote, because the stuff is ours anyway. However, not at the expense of the national government. The national government must always, 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 must always be governing by court action. Islam, Empress.
That's what it means in the Bibliohelio text, to seek ye first the kingdom of God, first of all, and then second of all, to seek the giver and not the gifts.
Yes, and guess who the giver is, Empress? Because you already know who gives everything and who taketh away.
That would be us.
Yes, indeed, the Lord.
That's one.
And for those who may be new, don't let us use the words lords and knowing that we're the lords and we're the gods. Don't let that, don't let programming do anything with that where you're concerned, because even at fake England, they were calling themselves the Lords of London and so on and so forth. When they knew Justice Consul and them were over there, the real lords were there. So with that being stated, they kept a national government overseeing corporate business. And they did not let the corporate interfere when you saw all of that prosperity. And so we're continuing to look at the model that they have, because we have the same model here. The model here is that we are a monarchy. And when we say monarchy, think about monarch butterflies. It's a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. So they had an incompetent definition even of the word monarchy. They had an incompetent definition that a monarchy is not one person. I can't even say one person because it is one person. We all together own one person. That person is the United States. That's a person. And the monarchy is all Moors. Every one of us is the ruling and reigning and governing sovereign and monarch for all that we're doing and all that we are, Islam. So with that being stated, we're going to continue looking at what they were doing and how they did everything, how they, it's only until recently that they capitulated in their enactment. And the only reason capitulation came into play is because every knee must bow and every tongue must confess when we arrive, So everyone who was pretending to be us has to get back into their proper status. They must. So just one moment. I'm trying to find this one. Okay. With that being stated, last Congress we talked about the 14th Amendment and immunity and privileges. The 14th Amendment, just a moment. The 14th Amendment says that all persons that are born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof has privileges and immunities. Okay? The privileges and immunities are things that have to do with the corporations. Okay? However, if the person that you govern was not in place and you took something from the corporates without that person being in place, then you can't claim the Fifth Amendment. And when I say you can't, sovereigns can do whatever they want to do. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'll give you an example of that. I'm putting a link in the chat of a video that we saw. Just one moment. Let me clear the chat just momentarily for this very reason. Just a moment. Let me clear it. Just a moment. Okay. Okay. And then let me see. There's one more in So, okay, let me put this link in the chat, and this link will be under the video as well. There is a just a moment.
Islam Empress.
Islam.
Can you email the bond concerning Verizon? Because I noticed it wasn't under the video.
It's under there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I gotta look again.
Yeah.
Pardon self.
Yeah. There's a link to it that was put under there the morning after the video was put up there. So first thing in the morning, the next day, I put it under there.
Very well, because I looked the same day that you posted it. Anxious. I'm like, let me see.
Yeah, always go back and check the next day maybe, because I try to get everything done in one day, but sometimes I don't get everything done in one day. Sometimes it takes, I have to have a sleep cycle and then.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here, this is just a short video. It features some modern Europeans, and they're talking about one who enacted invoking the 14th Amendment in order to get out of going to jail. What he did was he invoked 14th Amendment immunity, and the actor previously known as Donald Trump granted him immunity from testifying against him. I mean, they're just doing things all backwards and messed up. But and when he was granted immunity from prosecution, that means that he's claiming the 14th Amendment person. And when you claim the 14th Amendment person, then you can't then turn around and say, okay, I'm not going to, according to the Fifth Amendment, and plead the Fifth and not say anything. Because those two don't go together in that manner. In other words, whichever person you claim, that's the person you're going to hold to. And whatever happens with the person and the state of the person that you claim, that's the direction you go. So that's why none of us got immunity, quote unquote, in our sleep from anything. And see, the servant enacting as Donald Trump, he could have claimed some type of an immunity from prosecution because of that office that he was enacting holding. And again, we all have office and immunity and all of that in our own state. He could have done that, but he was making it clear to everyone that he's not claiming the 14th Amendment status person, that he's subject to the Moors. So he wants to invoke the Fifth Amendment where the Moors are concerned. So he's letting everyone know what to do and what time it is and where we are in all of this, in his enactments. Because they were saying never in history has a former president been brought up on charges, and every little court is calling, him in and things like that. And he's going because he's saying, I'm not taking immunity under a dead 14th Amendment corpse. He's saying the Moors are awake. I'm going with them. I'm subject to them. And we're not going, and our subjects know we're not going to let anything happen to our subjects. We're not going to let anything happen to them. They're not subject to the dead system. That's why when we issue driver's license for our subjects, they say do not detain. And of course, our state do not detain as well. We've shown you our driver's license that we've issued for ourselves. That's why all of this that we're doing is so important. And the actors, they are acting. They're doing their job. What they should be doing to let everyone know where everything is and what's happening and what the Moors are doing. Because see, we did away with the straw, the dead straw for Donald Trump. We did away with that, didn't we? We did a court action 2-3 years ago on the dead corpse, which then produced the subject. Now, is that inconvenient for him? It's inconvenient until we issue him a driver's license, and he's got to send a gold coin or a silver coin, some species. And again, everyone knew that this was. And see, here's the thing: we're not greedy for gold and silver because we own all of it anyway. So that's not the point. That's not the point. We're gonna live well every day anyway, regardless of that. But it's the actions and the act and the agreement. The agreement is very, very important. Agree to be a living subject instead of a dead corpse. That's what that is. I will say this too. We're going to continue putting forth the things that we state, indeed, in the chat Islam. We're going to continue putting forth the things that we have stated on the public record according to Chapter 29 of the Circle 7, Magistrate and Subject. So we're going to continue doing the things that we're doing and stating the things that we're stating. Now, when we talk about your person and where your person is born or naturalized, because see, we naturalize the persons of our subjects, and that means they're naturalized at ancient Morocco and not in a corpse situation. We want to bring to your attention, wow, nationality is everything. Let's just state that nationality and naturalizing properly is everything. It was brought to our attention by the ancients and the ancient spirits within us regarding the Vital Statistics Act and nationality and government. So I'm going to put the link to this in the chat so that you can look at it too, at what we saw that was just glaring and blaring, and that stated that what we're doing where government is concerned is absolutely what we should be doing. So I pulled up some things on the Vital Statistics Act. Yeah, 1 moment. Okay, there it goes. Now it's going to come up 30 times. Let's take a quick look at rule. Thank you very much. I have a great consort. He's a great guy. He's really good. Here we want to bring your attention to live birth of child of known parentage, reporting and registration requirements. Listen, when I read this, Morris, I just thought, yes, we're supposed to, all the things that we've been doing regarding the letterhead for vital statistics, because we're vital statistics. We are Washington vital statistics and New York vital statistics and Michigama vital statistics and Florida, Land of Flowers vital statistics and Alabama vital statistics. We are vital statistics. So let's just take a look really quickly at this particular stuff that's been out here enacted for a while. Now, there are two documents that we have been emphasizing that go with whatever we send. One of those is a corporate document where we do the letterhead and we state whatever we are stating because we're the heads of all corporations and companies. And then we said, when you send that, don't send it by itself. Send it with an affidavit that states either your fiduciary affidavit or your name change and judicial proclamation, something. So when you send things out, don't send one without the other. So because your affidavits are the court action. And when we looked at this and what they were stating about it, it said the exact same thing. That there are two documents that are going to state who someone is and how they're identified at birth. There are two parties involved in these types of reporting and registration requirements. One of the parties is going to be the facility or midwife. And when they say midwife, they're talking about midwife that is connected to their facility or our facility. I'm not even talking about the dead now. We're talking about the living. A facility representative will ultimately lead to the state because the facilities are all aligned to the state. And that's how states were claiming children and babies. They were claiming fiduciary parentage. Okay. And so the facility, just listen to who they were accepting information from, so that you will know that because we are the state and we're the CEOs of all hospitals or chiefs of all hospitals, all birthing facilities, all vital statistics, that our babies and their vast estates will always be governed properly by us and not by third-party interlopers. Number one says a facility representative. Now what they're doing is they're saying how to report and record and register, and we say record, a baby, the birth of a living child. The difference between recording and registering is this. Sovereigns record their own documents. Those who are not sovereign or who don't know that they're sovereign register with an entity, and that entity then reports to a sovereign or someone enacting sovereignty. Okay, so the facility will report to the state. The state will report, it's part of vital statistics and all of that. So we have the same structure. We have the exact same structure, except everything comes from us, all of us. A facility representative or midwife shall prepare and submit a report. Let's stop right there. What does the word report mean? That means send them back to the portal, the right portal, or the wrong portal. Okay, so whoever it is that's preparing and submitting the report will report to the right portal. They will send the baby on the right way. And the baby will be able to claim, and the parents will be able to claim the baby's estate until the baby is old enough to do so. So they will submit a report of live birth for each live birth at which that person attended that occurs in this state to the department within 10 calendar days after the birth occurs. The facility representative or midwife shall. So whoever it is that is the person attending, because that's called an attendant. That's the person attending the birth, because you have to have a witness to the birth. So that's why we have our own doulas and midwives and facilities and birthing and all of that. Every facility believes this and know this, and you will demonstrate this too. Every facility belongs to us when we properly state that. When we do a lien, a levy, and a bond. And when we do the bond, the bond will remove the lien with certain circumstances attached to the removal of the lien so that things can get done, so that things can move and people can do things and get things, and assist as they're supposed to assist instead of enacting usurpation. So a lien, a levy, and a bond on the hospital long before the moment that an empress finds out she's expecting an heir to the vast estate, which is the most, that right there is, it just makes sense to me why the matriarch is God, because of that, because she has the ability to do that, to enhance the estate. The estate grows exponentially by the birth of just one heir, not to mention those who have multiple heirs, many heirs. You know, I always stated that if I knew then what I know now, I would have about anywhere from 13 to 21 babies. I would have had that many. And fortunately, our ancestors know what they're doing with us. But it is then the job of the creator, which is mother, with the assistance of father, to prepare ye the way for the coming of the Christ. So it is mother who does the reporting, or father, both, either, because we work together. We are one. So it says here, the facility representative or with my midwife shall include all data and evidence required to establish the facts of live birth under this section. The facts. Facts cannot be disputed in any court. That's why this is so important. That's why nationality and proper declaration on the public record. What is proper declaration? Proper declaration of nationality or naturalization starts first with what comes out of your mouth and what you state. So I'm going to give an example right now of me nationalizing verbally. I, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo and in proprio heredes, am a true, original, indigenous, ancient, sovereign, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American living being. Okay, I just nationalized all over again, and I didn't need to. I wanted to give that example. For those who want to know, or if you're questioning, did you do your paperwork right, just say that and you're nationalized. That's first. Next, what you want to do is report in writing and record in writing your new birth. And so these things are what we state. All data and evidence required to establish the facts of live birth under this section include parentage information, Who are the parents for the baby? Because guess what? Who your parents are determines how you report and record, or are reported and recorded. So parentage matters. Include, and here's the thing. Your mother determines who you are. It is by way of mother that your nationality is determined. Okay? And so, again, all including parentage information means, what is their nationality? Or, that is information that is included. All statistical information required about the individual who gave birth. Now, they say individual because, again, when they speak in terms they speak in subject terms. Yes, Empress Shasha says the state of the mother is the state of the child. Yes, indeed. Yes, truth. In the last era, the state of the father was the state of the child. In this era, the state of the mother is the state of the child. So, statistical information, how much did the baby weigh, the date of birth, even how the birth date is stated is important. Okay? Attest the child was born alive. Oh, ensure the accuracy of the personal data entered on the report. That's important. Where is the child born? Ancient Morocco, on your affidavit. And then on your vital statistics paperwork, it's the state: Washington, Michigan, New York, Florida, not state of, in all capital letters, not that. The land is New York, Florida, Washington, Land of Flowers, or whatever, Sheikh Al-Maktoum, that's the land. Ensure, attest the child was born alive at the place and time and on the date stated on the report. Place and time, very important. Because remember, from the last era, all of the time was incompetent. Every bit of it was incompetent. They said that September was the 9th month instead of the 7th month, when the word septu means 7. They said December was the 12th month, when deci means 10. So everything that has to do with the last era was incompetent, so we corrected here. That's why we spell everything out. It says here, the healthcare provider or facility representative providing prenatal care shall provide the prenatal care information required for the report of live birth to the facility where the delivery is expected to occur not less than 30 calendar days prior to the expected delivery date. They're saying let your paperwork precede you. Let your paperwork be at the facility long before you get there. And remember, Moors, in the last era, we enacted just showing up at the facility, and it's like, oh, somebody showed up at the ER and they're pregnant and they're about to have a baby. A lot of that went on. And what happened then is what we're showing you on the screen next, which is live birth of child of unknown parentage, reporting and registration requirements. Look how small and tiny this is. They didn't have very many requirements for somebody who just showed up. No paperwork preceded you, no nationality proclaimed, none of that. So here, they're wanting information from the healthcare provider or facility representative, well, they want it from everybody but mom. Everybody but mother. Okay, so we're the facility, presentative, not representative, because we don't have to represent anything. We're here. We're the healthcare providers first for our babies. Why? Because they were in our womb. So we provide health for them first. Number 3, when a live birth occurs in a facility or en route to a facility, the facility representative shall submit the report of live birth consistent with this section. They're saying if you're traveling or you've already made it to the facility, and by facility, that means the United States Corporation is a facility or was a facility. Our creditor, United States, is a facility. It's a special purpose vehicle by which the national government expresses certain things.
Islam. Yes, it facilitates.
Yes, indeed. It's all in the wording, in the language, the etymology. Now, what's the root word of facility? What is the root word of facility? Anyone? Anyone who knows the root word of facility? Come on, etymologists. Y'all don't know the root word of facility? You see it in the mirror every day. Face.
Yes.
And yes, Empress, what you're stating there, facile is also face in Italian or another language, Latin even. Facile is a derivative of face.
Facility.
Yes, facile. Yes, indeed. So who's the face? See, a facility is the face of the state.
The face of. I was looking in the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Empress Karima. Yes, indeed.
That makes sense. Facilitator.
Yes.
Like somebody who facilitates an event.
Yes. Empress Karima put the word faculty. Well, what do they call the ability to hear and to see and to speak? That means, and that your mind is in the right place, that means you have control of your faculties. And then if you, as you continue to demonstrate a sound mind means, can you hear where you come from? Are you speaking the way you would speak on your national land? Instead of sounding like an alien.
And thus, you can facilitate, as in get things done.
Yes. That is what the corporate situation was supposed to be about, you all. It was not supposed to be that hot mess enacted in the last era. It was supposed to be facilities that facilitate our movement around. And when I say our movement, I don't mean the sovereign movement. I mean the movement of our person. We facilitate the sovereign movement. Islam. Just one moment. We'll open the meeting up for them. Islam, thank you for letting us know in the chat. So again, back to these things about children of known parentage. All of this is required for known parentage, with very little required for unknown parentage. The affidavit number 4A. When a live birth occurs outside a facility and not en route to a facility, the report of live birth must be filed consistent with this section by the healthcare provider in attendance of the live birth, or the facility representative where the individual who gave birth and child are examined, if that examination happens within 10 calendar days of live birth, Number 5, for an unattended live birth not reported under subsection 4 of this section, a report of live birth and an affidavit.
None of your shit works.
Unattended means
none of your shit.
Unattended means that no person witnessed the birth. Well, when no person witnesses a birth, for us, that's no person from an inferior state or from the United States. Even our United States, no one witnesses the birth from there, so the documents have to come from the national government. Then the United States, which is the creditor state for us, because we created the United States, our own. And those who have seen our videos in the past, you actually witnessed us vote and create in writing our own creditor United States, which we're the creditors to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce, as well as all the other things that manifest on the land. So if no one from the United States witnesses the birth, then an affidavit and a report of live birth and an affidavit stating the facts of the birth must be filed with the department within 10 calendar days of the live birth. And for us, we are outside of those time constraints, so we can declare our nationality and that of our heirs anytime and then put it on the public record and notify the subjects in the Office of Vital Statistics and notify the subjects in the Office of Secretary for State, because those are our offices. We would encourage you to do so. Our ancestors are showing us a lot of offices that we have at our to do with as we will, and those offices have different purposes. Indeed. And this is why our affidavits are so important. We speak by affidavit because everything we do is coming from the land. It's not coming from within the United States, not even the one that we created. Okay? That's why we've always stated that when you send any corporate document like vital statistics and things like that, always send your fiduciary affidavit. Always. We don't let anything go out without either a nationality affidavit or a fiduciary affidavit going with it. When we're doing our letterhead for Michigan Vital Statistics, which is that means we're talking ancient Michigan, not a dead Michigan, not a modern corporate corpse. We're talking ancient Michigan. Why is Michigan and all the states ancient? If you look at the definition of ancient writings, it tells you right there that everything we write by affidavit is ancient because it comes from us. We stated that in the last Congress. So that is why it was necessary for us to put the constitutions for all the states on the public record, because we're talking about ancient states.
When you get them fleet vehicles,
it sounds like somebody smothering them when they start running their mouths like that. It sounds like somebody smothering them.
Still waiting on first?
Yeah, you're smothered. Okay, so number 5 talks about, that's when the affidavit comes into play, an unattended live birth, okay, not reported under this section. So then our nationality was being, they didn't hide anything from us, but how many of us read these types of things before we did anything? Did we look at these codes and notes and things and be like, oh, I need an affidavit? because we're not a part of the debtor United States. So now 5A, the report of live birth, the report of live birth must be completed and signed. And they use the word report for a reason. Which portal is the child coming from? Which portal was the child birthed at? The ancient portal. And that goes for subjects. Our subjects were born at ancient Morocco with the status of according to their mother. There's protection there. And they know it. What is going to be necessary for us, where even the subject Donald Trump is concerned, is we're going to issue some documentation on the public record, and we're issuing that right now, that he has privileges and immunities under our sovereign authority, so that they cannot jail him and put him in and do all those things unless he chooses to go that way. If he claims the dead status, then jail is what happens. Because remember, Moors, we've been stating this the whole time anyway. All debt must leave the land. All debt. There's no debt on our land. All the enactments have been sunsetted. So even acting like Moors are debtors has been spoken outwardly and stated and spoken against by the law on the public record. The Moors must, out of their own mouths, state who they are. So number 5A, the report of live birth must be completed and signed by a person with knowledge of the facts of the birth, other than the individual who gave birth to the child. Guess who the person with actual facts of the birth, guess who that is?
Islam.
Islam.
Would that not be the special purpose vehicle of the one whom gave birth? I mean,
yes, it's mother. It's mother. Yes, Empress. It's mother. Yes.
One, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the sovereign mother. Our mothers were sovereign when they gave birth to us. Yeah. But there was a person doing the reporting that reported improperly, unlawfully, and illegally at that.
It's so clear as you go through this. I mean, who knew? I had no idea there was such a document like this when I had my sons. And as you go through it, what comes to mind again is, in the beginning was the word, because the word determines. The word that one utters determines state of mind, all of those things.
Yeah.
And also, the whole silence is acquiescence. And ignorance of the law is no excuse, because you're silent because you don't know it's there, but that really doesn't make any difference, because they're still going to report you because you're silent and you're not speaking the right word and you haven't provided an affidavit. It's so clear as you go down now.
Yes. Who knew? Who knew?
Who knew?
Thank God.
Yeah, so there was a question in the chat from Empress Camilla. Thank you for that, Empress Camilla. Let us clarify who mother is. The sovereign mother is not a person. The sovereign mother is God. So remember, in the old era, people used to say, as God is my witness. Remember? Yeah. So the national, and this is what we were stating about Dubai, the national government speaks on top of and over and above all of the corporate stuff. And the natural government, the national government is considered a different, it's not a person like in the corporate stuff, the company stuff. The national government, Islam.
Sorry, I finished. I was just going to say, well, I'll just...
No, go ahead, Empress.
The national government, that's the living, that's the sovereign.
Yes,
the corporate is the person. I mean,
yes.
Utility vehicle or those types of things. So you can clearly see the levels.
Yes. That's so important. That's so important to see the levels. Because then you will know, all of us, we all will know that someone calling themselves a sheriff, if they don't have a nationality attached to them, then are they really the sheriff giving orders and arresting people and telling people who can stay and who can go?
No.
No, they're not. Nope. Because the national government puts the law on the land. And then the corporate does what the national says do.
The corporate is the servant of the national.
Yes. All day, every day. And when the national speaks by affidavit, and then we take that corporate letterhead, nationalize it, let them know it's coming from the nationals because it's going to look slightly different from theirs, but it's still the head. And then you say, this is what's to be done, and this is to be done, and this is to be done. Now, that corporate and company level is a system. That system has processes that cause the system to, the switches to flip and for things to be accessed. That's why we're doing the things that we're doing with the money, with the gold and silver and all of that, is so that our company and corporate system does the same things that it did in the last era for those that were pretending to be sovereign. Dubai had the enactment right. They did it right. I know some may not even believe this, but you'll find out over time as you continue to research Dubai and all that was done. When Maktoum, when the son, he is also Mohammed Maktoum, when the son who is he actually has the title over there of president over there. See, people, but they don't put that forward because it's not a major title. They don't put that forward except in their news. They call him the president, he's the son, and they call the father the ruler. And Islam, Empress.
A president is the head of a corporation.
Yes. That is why we put the 40-something documents on the public record stating that even as president, we're still attached to a sovereign, that office is attached to a sovereign affidavit and reports back to ancient Morocco. And see, those two together means that access to everything that we see happens. Dubai had it right. They did it right. What happened was at Dubai, there was some oil that was found while they were digging up over there in their enactment. They were putting a building up or something like that, and they were digging to, put the joists into the ground, Noble Phoenix, yes, we'll talk about that in just a minute. So, they were digging up and oil just started pouring up out of the ground. And when they realized that they had oil under the ground, the national government was doing things and enacting things enacting things. The national government was doing what they do. The court was there. They have a court. Their court is the same as the Knesset at fake Israel. So they sent their son to the United States Corporation Company. I won't say here because they didn't send him here. They sent him to the United States Corporation Company schools, the animal husbandry schools, to learn corporate things and how to get all of these. And you know what? That's where you would see the stories where the sheikhs, and they spell sheikh differently, the sheikhs over there had 30 and 40 and 50 Lamborghinis and Bugattis and Mercedes and all of this and that and this and that and la 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 la. All of that stuff. Because there was no limit. Yeah, they spell it with an H on the end, Justice Khalil. They spell it with an H on the end, Sheikh. So it's because the national government was doing what we see on the screen, an affidavit and a report. And they did the report as vital statistics. So let me give an example on the screen of a vital statistics report by any of us. Let's take a look really quickly, and I'll just use Michigan because that is where I was born. No, that's where my person was born, ancient Michigan. So Michigan vital statistics, let's go there. And really quickly, I'll say this about it. This is what we did with vital statistics. We took this logo. See, they have a Health and Human Services logo right here. So what we did, and this is, we encourage all Moors to do this. We took this logo right here and see how it has Health and Human Services next to it. So what we did was we would take the logo, and we do this with all logos. That is our report. This is how we do it. You take that logo, and you don't want to use their logo the way it is. You don't want to use it the way it is. What you want to do is, let's say, for example, the logo shows here on the screen, and let me put this on the screen so you can see where the logo went. Okay, so this is the Michigan logo that we just took off of the website. What we would do is take that logo and make it red. Make the land red. Or you can make the land green, or you can even make the land brown to indicate that this is a land acquisition. Here, let's make it a darker brown. I tend to shy away from these colors because the more you copy it, the quicker it turns black. And I don't want it to turn black. So now this is a national logo because we've changed it. Okay. And then what we do is right next to it, and you don't have to have these programs to do it. You can do it any way, however you choose to do it. I didn't want to do that. And then what we do is we put the following. Just one moment. We change the lettering, and generally we use Times New Roman because that Times New Roman is government font. Even in ancient times, we use Times New Roman. And then I choose a number like 22 for the size, or 18 because 8 and 1 is 9. and then I'll make it red or green or blue. In this case, let's make it blue. And we'll say, because we are the real Michigan Health, Michigan Healing and Human, and we can say services or works. Just a moment, let me make this a little bit longer.
Or we can even say ministries, right?
Yes, we can say ministries. Michigan Health and Human Human Works Ministry. You're governing it, so you will know. But at some point, Moors, and this is something that we're doing right now, uniformity. Universality. So let's say Health and Human Works Ministry. Okay.
Now that you finished that, because I'm from Michigan and I have limited capability to get that done. Would you please put that in the chat or email that to me or something, please? So I can start using it. No, I'm serious.
Do you have capture capability?
No, I do not. I do not. I have a Mac that was donated to me 2 years ago.
Okay.
Brand new, and I have not found a suitable software program that I don't have to pay fiat for yet, including Word. The Word program that I have is so dang limited, I may as well not have it.
Okay. Yes, we will do our best to get this to you.
Thank you.
So, and again, ours is a little there. We know Works and Ministry is up a little high, but I just wanted to give you. I'm not going to save this one. I'll redo. In fact, let me just take this part right here, because you can just and this is what I normally do. I capture, like I did here. I capture this right here, and then I just type out next to it. File, save as. I save it. Just a moment.
Islam
Empress.
I just put it in the chat. I screenshot it and put it in the chat. I don't know if Noble Phoenix can get it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No worries. Can you get it, Noble Phoenix?
Empress,
yes, but
thank you so much.
I can get a screenshot, but I'm unable to manipulate the screenshot once I have it.
Can you
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if you can get the screenshot, then you can go to Health and Human Services website, screenshot that one, and then just color in.
That's my point. I'm unable to do the editing on the images.
Oh, okay.
That's my point.
Okay.
I know how to do it. I don't have the technical means with.
I'll take ape shit crazy bitches for 300, please.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I heard an echo.
Yeah. Okay. Noble Phoenix, we'll get it to you somehow.
Thank you.
Empress,
my email is right there. My email is, in my name or in the appellation.
So, Empress Angel, can you email that to him?
Where's his email? I don't see it.
Should be with the name. Let me look in here again.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Empress Angel, you make our job so much easier. Just things like that make it so much easier, because I always want to make sure people get what they will to have. But sometimes the list of things to do is yay long, and so it just helps. Even things that like that, just that quickly, it helps. So Empress Camilla asked a question about the person. So let me just give a really quickly about the person. So
When you're ape shit crazy, everything you do is in vain.
This is the person right here. Pauline Denise Ritchie, that's a sovereign person. Pauline Denise Ritchie is a sovereign. In red and all lowercase letters, that's a sovereign. Then whenever you add capital letters to anything, it lowers the status, okay, of that. A lowered status is not a bad thing for us because our sovereign status always stays the same. We then use instruments that are lower than God to do things and to manipulate, not manipulate, but manipulate is a good word, to move things around. Like Noble Phoenix said, to manipulate, move things around. Then if we want to have an instrument whose status is even lower and can reach the corporate realm, because see, believe it or not, the corporate realm is one of the lowest realms you can ever inhabit. But because we're God, we inhabit all dimensions and we govern and dominate them or have dominion over them. All dimensions. So Empress Camilla, all three of these are different persons. They're different. One is the sovereign, and because this one in the middle is attached to the sovereign, this one is a creditor. Which means that this corporation right here is a living corporation that is the creditor also. So when corporations were pretending to be the creditor, they were showing us how to use an all caps name. But see, the all caps has to be attached to the sovereign. Okay, so Pauline Denise Ritchie, as highlighted here, is the sovereign that gave sovereign birth to the heiress Ravana Moore. And then, yes, indeed. But see, let me just say this. In order to properly claim the creditor estate, nationality and the sovereign must first appear and be stated and be speaking the law every time we open our mouths. The sovereign must be there first. Then it is the sovereign who creates this person right here. This person is that we the people person. That's we the people, in order to form a more perfect union between this sovereign, this person, and this corporation, and all sovereigns, all persons, and all corporations. Yes, the reason that we were taught to sign this way is because we were signing documents where we the people were speaking about things. It's the will of the people that determines what happens. So, for example, if we signed a bond, let's say when we were in our sleep, let's just say we got arrested in our sleep. If we got arrested in our sleep, they did everything in all capital letters, but then it's the people who had to agree to that process. We didn't know that by signing the bond, using the first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lowercase, that the people were agreeing to that process. Because it's what the people say that makes the government do what government does. It is the consent of the governed. This Pauline Denise Ritchie was pretending in the last era to be governed by whoever created that one from the last era that we leaned. All agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof. This is the principle for this. Pauline Denise Ritchie, the sovereign, is the parent for this Pauline Denise Ritchie. This Pauline Denise Ritchie, because I created her, and I did it by first by affidavit, like the thing says, like they were enacting what we just showed you in the codes and statutes. I created the affidavit that created this Pauline Denise Ritchie. I created the birth certificate. I created all of that So this Pauline Denise Ritchie has a status that matches the nature of her creator, which is this Pauline Denise Ritchie in all lowercase letters. And then this Pauline Denise Ritchie says, okay, I'm going to start a company, a sea salt company, and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to do all these things. So what did we do? Created an estate and incorporated. And the incorporation happens by affidavit first, which means that corporation was born on the land. We didn't file it with some entity out there. And then what did we do? We notified those in the subjects in the office of Secretary for State, because that's our office. Okay, that, okay, here we are, we have appeared by nationality documents, we as the people have appeared by birth certificate, and then we who govern the corporations has appeared, our corporations have appeared because we incorporated them. What if we don't use, just one moment, I'm trying to see your questions here, Empress, in the chat. Here's the thing that we say about, because her question is, what if we don't use the true name but freeborn appellation that we changed? You can do that. You can do that. We find it more competent in terms of the systems because our sovereign mother spoke at the crowning. My mother crowned me with my sovereignty at birth. She crowned me with my sovereignty because she was sovereign and is sovereign. She gave me her blood, and I inherited my estate by way of her crowning me, Pauline Denise Ritchie. And then even when she crowned me, she gave honor to my grandmother because my grandmother was crowned Pauline at her birth. So in honoring my matrilineal estate, because see, that's where the capitalism and all the fraud and stuff came from. Whenever I first went to, did my first POW demonstration, Empress, I stated that I was like Tajiri Bey. But the fingerprints and the DNA and things, the fingerprints and stuff said that their Pauline Denise Ritchie was there. Not like Tajiri Bey. So what did they do? They said, okay, they say they're like Tajiri Bey, so we're going to connect these two together. And this is what they did. They created their own like Tajiri Bey. So we can be whoever we state that we are. I'm like Tajiri Bey because I created her by fiduciary affidavit. She was born by my fiduciary affidavit. The estate is Pauline Denise Ritchie's estate because my mother said so, and my grandmother said so, and her grandmother said so, and so on and so on. So whenever the records come, the records are going to match. They're going to match. And then on my father's side, because there's an estate there also, because his mother named him Donald James Ritchie. That's my father's name, his appellation, Donald James Ritchie. Then they work together. Then the Ritchie estate and the Lawhorn estate and Lassick estate and Wiley estate, because that's going back to my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and so on and so forth. All those estates come together on those sides. And then when I married my consort and matrimony with my consort, That brought all of the Moore estate and all of that. So if we change, so Light Tajiri Bay, I am still Light Tajiri Bay because I'm sovereign. I can be whoever I want to be. When it comes to the record keeping, accurate record keeping where estates are concerned, see, we need not be afraid of the sovereign-born appellation. See, there was a deception there. They can claim you abandoned your estate if you don't claim it properly. Proper claiming of our estates. And again, we're sovereign. We can be whoever we want to be. So I'm not saying that you can't say that. I'm saying proper claiming of the estate comes by way of those who gave us the estate. My mother gave me Pauline Denise Ritchie in honor of my grandmother. So my estate is still descending, or ascending rather, because we're ascending. We're the ascendants of I'm an ascendant of Pharaoh Empress Pauline Manuel Lassick Lawhorn, and so on and so forth. So you can use you can create another estate that way because you can. You can create as many estates as you choose to create. If you change your free chosen sovereign appellation, if you change it to something else, all you did was create another estate to govern. I have chosen to govern according to what my sovereign mother spoke, because that was the law. She spoke the law. But I had to create Pauline Denise Ritchie once I knew that the fakes were using a fake one that's not what my mother said. She didn't say dead Pauline Denise Ritchie. I was born alive. So I had to create the living Pauline Denise Ritchie. Hopefully that puts some light. I'm not doing business as Light Tajiri Bay. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. In the chat it says doing business as Light Tajiri Bay. I'm doing business and not even doing business. My company is Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters. So I could state that I'm doing business as Pauline Denise Ritchie. I could state that. But that's not me. Pauline Denise Ritchie that I created is a corporation separate from the sovereign. It's a different person. And that's why we don't, the Fifth Amendment says that we don't answer for capital in any court. And that's why when fake courts were enacting things, they would always put it in capital letters, because they created that shell corporation. It looks like, sounds like Pauline Denise Ritchie, but it's not me. I am me, and I created that instrument. I created that instrument. The one they created was a debtor. So I'm so grateful that these questions are coming up about that, because we want to clarify at all times. We want to keep the clarity coming with regard to persons and instruments that we use to get everything that we get. The people at Dubai in the last era, and let me say this about them too, has anyone, let me just ask, has anyone at this Congress ever heard of Dubai going to war?
No.
Nope. That's why they were blissed in the last era enactment. That's why, with all of that flowing over there in their enactment, You know why, though? They didn't go to war too? Because family. They were all one, just as we are. We're all one blood. As we're governing, every governor is related to the other where we're concerned. As we're all governing, we're all related. We're all family. We're not family, kin. Ancient bloodline and birthright. We state that we're brothers and sisters, but that's real. That's real. Really. And so as we are doing the things that we're doing, we're always going to be brother and sister. Always. That's why we say that the door must always stay open for one another. No matter what goes on between us, we never close the door on each other. The door stays open. Every Moor, because there have been some Moors who were a part of what we were doing, and then they were like, I'm not being a part of that. Like tajiri Bay. This is a blood thing. It's even deeper than the mafia piece. You know, the mafia was like, you can't get out the mafia. You actually have to die out of the mafia. Well, they got that from us. They got that from us. You don't unjoin the nation. There's no such thing. That doesn't exist. What kind of talk is that? That's somebody that doesn't know who they really are when they say, I'm not going to be with y'all anymore. I'm going to go over here and be with this nation. That's our brother and sister nation. Enjoy. Because we're still joined. Now, the other nations at earth will gladly come and do commerce with us when they know their commerce is secure, because they know we're not going to be so busy arguing over here that their stuff gets stopped, that they can't get food and whatever they're getting from us because we're over here going back and forth. That'll never happen. I state that for the record. We're brothers and sisters. We're not going to do that. And see, that security, because see, that's what a secured party creditor is. That means that no matter that the parties secure themselves. We secure ourselves when we don't war back and forth. Though the cool heads always prevail. Cool heads, that's a statement. Cool heads prevail, always. And that's why, you know, we've heard of people saying things about us out on social media. We don't have a fight with them. That's their opinion. What are the facts? The fact is, we are all of ancient bloodline and birthright. The fact is, our blood did not change from one mother to the next. There was no interruption in the bloodline and birthright. There was no rupture. There was no bankruptcy. We're still one. And so we have learned from, and we're grateful to the subjects for showing us this, that we just never close the door on each other. And then also, to our credit, the ancestors have introduced certain ones along the way in our experiences that even in our sleep, no matter what was going on with us, they never rejected us. They always had open arms for us. And that came by way of sons who they just honored the matriarch even in the sleep. Before we even knew that, yes, the matriarch is the head. matriarchs rule. And that's not a slight to them. The ones who knew it benefited greatly. They benefited greatly. Those sons who spoke well of the women, they didn't have a hard time, having their, whatever it is that they saw for themselves being manifested by way of matriarchs, because they knew the wisdom in speaking well of the matriarch, and not just speaking well because energetically it comes out, whether you're whether who we are and what we're stating comes out in the energies. So we're grateful for those vital statistics, that we had sons who knew, and they stayed in our experience. The ancestors let them just stay in our experience, And then I have 6 brothers like that. All 6 of my brothers are like that. And I know you all have relatives and kin in your bloodline like that too, because all of that honor and honorability is in our bloodline and birthright, And so as we're continuing to govern, we can look at, what's being done out there in the enactments. Not the funny mirror. Don't look in the funny mirror, because that thing is wrecked and finished. That's done. But look at those around us. So we can see. Are there any questions, comments, wisdom? I wanted, regarding anything that we stated thus far, really quickly, I wanted to show you what has taken place, what has transpired. We gave the sunset order. So we put a link in the chat, and we'll put this link under the video. We gave the sunset command, okay, and we went on to the, doing some research on bonds and things of that nature. And it states here, Section 889 in the enacted policies, that Section 889A1A, and there's our AA, there's AA right there, prohibits the federal government from procuring or obtaining or extending or renewing a contract to procure or obtain any equipment, any system, any service that uses covered telecommunications equipment or services as a substantial or essential component of any system, or as critical technology as part of any system on or after August 13, 2019, unless an exception applies or a waiver is granted. What are they stating? What they're stating, not what they're stating, what they're enacting there is that anything that has to do with communication, services, equipment, whatever, no matter what it is, no contracts will be procured. None will be enacted. Islam.
Coverted.
Yes. Indeed.
That means covered.
Yes.
Covering the truth.
Yeah. Yes.
So when I read this, or when you was reading it, I instantly came to the technology that was created by us Moors for doing like rain or sun or whatever to help our crops, and how they converted it to be the systems that we're dealing with now for the inclement weather, and things of that nature. So by this understanding, how I'm perceiving it to be, that they can't covert that technology, because that's a communication system when they was disrupting the weather and things, because it was a communication of the atmospheric pressures and things that they was creating. It was fraudulent. It was covering the truth.
Yes. It was an necessity.
Mm-hmm. So what that statement stated, the weather, the fruits, the vegetables, and all the things that we desire is going to come back because they cannot interrupt how we communicate. Because if you think about it, when it was cold and snowy and all that, was we communicating, going outside and doing those things like sitting on the block and, you know, going to the beach and going to the park? That's communication. If we're all locked behind our four walls, we're not doing that in life, real action of communicating. You know, that's connection, communication, and all that stuff. So Islam.
Speaking of which, this that is on the screen right now is the California desert, quote unquote. It's in full bloom. I Googled California desert in bloom. That was the hottest place. It was called Death Valley. Death Valley has come to life recently because of what we stated and put on the record about the office, the death office, the office for the dead, and all of that. And again, it started coming to life before then. You know, it started coming to life before then as we started waking up. So where the frequencies of the earth are concerned, and thank you for stating that also, Empress, because where the frequencies at earth are concerned, as we continue to present the birth of the heirs, because can a nation be born in a day? Yes. It's the day we create and state our nationality. As we're doing this and the frequency of the earth is rising, I'll say this briefly about those who might find themselves, what they used to say, a little affected by the weather. Because of the work that we all have been doing, the temperature of the earth is rising. That's a given. With the melting of the polar caps, and why do they call it the polar caps? Because there was ice on the head, caps, head. But even as we've taken complete control over captivity, which is what capitalism was in the last era, captivity, and the polar ice caps are melting, they are releasing viruses and bacteria of the best kind for us. And we've experienced a little bit of this where something will come and it looks like a virus from before, similar to it, but it has a positive effect on our bodies. So let's just say, for example, if you know that you have an affinity for bad food, burgers and fries, because see, in our sleep, burgers and fries were tasty. They were good. They're still good if you eat them a certain way or you make them a certain way. The ancestors have it so that there are things that are being loosed in the atmosphere, that when it comes in contact with our bloodline and birthright, that it will strengthen us. It will cause us to not even desire things that will not help us. We will lose the desire for it altogether. That is not an overnight thing, so don't worry if you're not feeling any of that yet. It's not a bad thing that you're not feeling anything yet, because that is a process that happens over time. And here's the thing about everything that we're doing. Fortunately for us, I'm so grateful to our ancestors that everything happens over time. We don't have to feel bad about what we eat. If you like things, certain things, eat certain things, but just know that at a particular time that thing is gonna no longer serve you, and you'll lose your desire for it. You're not gonna have to fight through trying to get rid of it, because this is not a fight. We're not at war. And it's not going to disappear. It's not going to leave until you say, okay, you're free to go. Burgers and fries, you're free to go out of my life. That doesn't mean it's going to, it might disappear from the territory. But when you're ready, because you're the sovereign, you get to say. Because I used to worry about things like that. I used to worry about, if that's not here, what are we going to eat? And when I say that, I mean anything that I like a lot of or whatever. I used to think to myself, well, how are we going to get rid of that? You'll just lose the desire for it. That's all. And you might think that, oh, I love that so much, I'm never going to lose the desire. We have a match for it we have a match for it. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's bacon. There's a plant that tastes just like bacon. It looks like it's a part of the sea family. It looks like seaweed that grows. It looks like seaweed. It looks like purple seaweed. And it tastes just like bacon. So it doesn't matter what it is. It will leave when it's time for it to leave. And then we have to will to just do better. That's all. Just will to be better, will to do better. Will to be our best selves. Will to be our healthier selves. And once we will it, the ancestors will bring about whatever it is so that we can be exactly who we know that we are. I brought this up because we have our full moon fast coming up at some point. Let me just see, when is the full moon for, it's the 28th. Okay, so the 27th, 28th, and 29th is our full moon fast. So that's tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that is our 3-day full moon fast. So even if you think you can't fast, I would encourage you to do so. Please do so. However you're led to do it. Whatever you're led to fast from. I wanted to show you really quickly, will to show you really quickly the rest of this, and we gave you the link so that you can look through the rest of these with regard to birth and proper recording of it. We have gone all the way around, but all of it is about nationality, bloodline, and birthright. We want to go through the one where it talks about unknown birth, because the reason we bring these things up is just so that all will know that the things that we're doing are absolutely what we should be doing. So here, this is important, Empress Camilla, for the question that you asked earlier. The report of live birth and the affidavit must not be signed by the same person. Can someone please explain what this means? They're saying the report of live birth and affidavit must not be signed by the same person. What do they mean? What does that mean?
Islam. There should be a witness.
You could say that. You could say that.
What? Oh.
You could say that.
What she said, please.
She said there needs to be a witness.
Thank you. Well, the report of the live birth and affidavit, they're two different jurisdictions.
Yes.
So there's the answer.
That's the answer. So technically, we could sign both of them.
Exactly.
because it's not the same person. That's why we do our corporate documents where we restate the logos on the Michigan Health and whatever. We restate that. And we do an affidavit that says this, the following Pauline Denise Ritchie has affidavit attached stating and evidencing that she was born at ancient Morocco. And then we autograph it as the Chief Justice for Michigan Health Ministry. Yes, Empress Camille, that's it. That's the key. All three have different offices. The Constitution talks about the office. One of them is the office of trust. Honor, rather. The office of honor is the first office, according to the Constitution. The office for honor is the sovereign. This is where the honor is. When we say we honor the divinity in you, we're acknowledging your ancient existence. We say the divinity in me honors the divinity in you. The divinity in me recognizes and sees the divinity in you. That's the office for honor. That's what the sovereign has. Then there is an office for trust. The people are in trust one with another. That's this office right here. Pauline Denise Ritchie with a capital P, a capital D, and a capital R. That's the office of trust. That's where the trust happens on the public record. That's the we the people. That's the constitutional trust. And then Islam. Did you have a question, Nobility? Just a moment. And then there's Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters. That is the office for profit, P-R-O-F-I-T, and P-R-O-P-H-E-T. So according to the Constitution, we hold all three offices. That's why this office exists. And you saw that with Dubai in the last era. They enacted that perfectly, where the national government is always visible. But this is something that I noticed about all the many videos of them welcoming heads of state. Whenever they welcomed heads of state, there's an echo coming from one of the lines, and I'm not sure which one it is. Whenever they welcomed heads of state, the president, which is the son, met them. Whenever they welcomed heads of state, let me restate that. Whenever they welcomed corporate heads of state in their enactment. So whenever Joe Biden, quote unquote, went there, the son met with him. Not the father. The father didn't come out because he's the national government. He didn't even come. When they met with Egypt, father and son came, I believe, because Egypt honors the ancient, but they still have the corporate. But this is the part that really just, I overstood and understood it. They had slightly different ways that they welcomed these heads of state, depending on whether the heads of state honored the ancient or if they were strictly corporate. When Xi Jinping enacted going to the UAE and meeting with them, both father and son came out, and Xi Jinping sat with the father, because China, in their enactment, held a lot of the ancient information that we restate. And China was actually the financier of all of that Dubai stuff that they were doing from the corporate arm, but they still had the national arm. China enacted our sovereign status in their enactment. Dubai was a part of that, a party to that. China could not tell Dubai no about how much they were spending on conveyances and building and all of that, because they had the national government enactment in place. The father was not the president, he was the ruler. He wasn't the king, he was the ruler. He ruled with his court. There was a court, a bunch of court men and women. And their court didn't have any women on it, it just had men on it. So one of my favorite videos that even got me looking at the Emirates News Agency channel was when Vladimir Putin enacted going to the UAE and how they received him in. They had 13 horses that came, once he got within a certain distance of the palace, they had 13 horses that had to escort him in. And the 5 of the horses had the Russian flag and 5 had the UAE flag, the Dubai flag. And then 3 were ahead, and 1 had each flag, and the horse that led the way had a sword turned up, which meant that was a war, that was a military action. It was a military action, but they're allies militarily. So they had a flyover, just like they used to have flyovers on the 4th of July, where the planes would fly over. They had what they called the Air Force, the Blue something. What was it? The Blue Angels was the name of those who were enacting, doing the flyovers whenever there's some honor being given, or the 4th of July, or some parade or something. They would have them fly over, and the smoke that came out of the back of the planes was the color of the flag that they were honoring. So the Blue Angels, a lot of times, they would have red, white, and blue coming out of the back of their planes, So we've learned a lot about how to receive the other nations in, and how to do the, how to honor them best. And what does that mean? That means we're going to be practicing that even now with the little bit of red carpet we got, running through here, or out the way there. We're going to be just demonstrating with what we have first, as we continue claiming and proclaiming the trust and the profit offices. As we continue accessing those, we already have them, okay? They're already our offices. It's a matter of using the system to demonstrate what we know about ourselves. So whenever an affidavit is autographed, Pauline Denise Ritchie, the Office of Honor, signs that. Whenever a corporate, a people corporate document is signed, the trust, because all corporations that we have created by doing the letterhead, because see, we birth them by that process. We naturalize, or nationalize rather, the corporations by that process. We nationalize them, and then they through the activities, anyone can access the benefits of our estate by way of the corporations that we nationalize. Islam.
So just clarify again for me. So we're using the original name that our birth mother and father unitedly agreed to call us forth by, okay? So, Paul,
that is our suggestion.
Okay, it's a suggestion. But then, where does our title of nobility fit in with any of this, or is that totally?
Whenever I sign affidavits, L and they are always on there. See, my titles for nobility. This is the appellation that I sign with. Ahorn Lassick. Why do I sign this way? This is honoring my lineage. And I could have gone even further, and at some point I will do it, and put, my grandmother was an L or an Al, depending on how you sign it. My grandmother's last name or appellation is Manuel, and some spell it this way. I prefer to spell it with an E. That was her appellation, her last appellation. So I'm an L by bloodline and birthright anyway. So for anyone, if any of us look back in our lineage on our mother's side, we're going to see names that have L, Al, Ali, Day, or Bay on them. No matter what appellation you have, the titles of nobility are always in, they're in our lineage anyway. The further you go back, after a while, you'll go back and all the names have them. Have L, Al, Ali, Day, or Bay on them. All of them. Or Moore. My consort is Raymond Moore. He was born at Chicago, Illinois, which is Mecca. They've always been Moors. They've never been anything other than that. Someone put an E on the end of their name, and they had to do it first, or else it wouldn't have been done. So again, how you choose to express your holy sovereign appellation on your affidavits, because that's really where the honor and the nationality and the offices are, is on our affidavits. And then when we're doing offices of trust, our trust.
Islam Empress.
Yes, Islam.
Yeah. Could you unlock the meeting for Noble Howard?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Islam. Thank you. So this is where, on your affidavits, is where Day, Bay, El, Al, and Ali come in at. That's where they should be used, because think about your name change in judicial proclamation. You're doing that using your sovereign office to state who you really are. So when you sign it, you use that office. I'm an L by bloodline and birthright. All of you are also L, Bay, Ali, Al, and Day. So that's where you would use that. If I wanted to sign Light Tajiri Bay, I would do that on an affidavit, and it would still be 100% valid. On Moorish government letterhead, because that's where all of that started. It starts. Our nobility starts with our affidavits, not with something where you go down to the bank and you sign a document or whatever, because you're the bank. So you must state that using your sovereign office first. Then the trust that we have in our systems comes into play, and then the profit. So, yeah, that would be the proper way to use your office. The offices don't necessarily, we don't see, if we when we state our offices properly on Moorish government letterhead, think about that. Then when we manifest as the people, and our sovereign mothers have said, you have an estate, you have several estates. This is an estate also. And this is an estate. We can create as many other estates as we choose. But the system, and in the last era they proved this, the system is used by way of whatever mother stated. Think about when you first, and you have to be a certain age to know about this. When you first opened a bank account, they said, okay, for your password is going to be your mother's maiden name.
Islam, I'm back. Thank you. I don't know what happened.
I don't either, Noble Phoenix.
I'm like,
that happens sometimes with, I know I didn't do anything. I'm asking.
Everything that Pauline does is a failure.
No, it's no, Ravana is Empress Ravana is doing the thing, and she wouldn't she wouldn't boot Moors out. She knows those other voices when she hears them.
Good.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you said because I was still getting the question out, and you guys have continued on, obviously.
Yeah.
But the L and the Bay, where does that fit in? Was my question.
In your affidavits on Moorish government letterhead. We govern by those offices.
Okay, because on that one where I did the proclamation, not proclamation, I forget what it's called. But I remember doing the one where it mentioned both.
Yes.
That's the one you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
It could, and even your fiduciary document should state both. Light Tajiri Bay is on my fiduciary document.
Yes, it's on mine. I have Noble Phoenix Mikael, and then I have Michael Lorenzo Jones. So I have them both on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Islam indeed. So. Competent and proper use of the El, the Bay, Al, Ali, and Day. Because see, El, Ali, that's why when people came here, they changed their names when they came here because they were going to be doing corporate things. So those who came from China, at China, they have the names that their mothers gave them. And a lot of them have noble lineage. And so over there, they would exercise their noble lineage. And then when they came here to do corporate stuff to implement this profit piece and the commerce piece, they would say, okay, I'm not Sorai Vong Samathangza, because that's like a Vietnamese appellation. I am Tom Jones or Tom Smith, So they would change it to a corporate name. And then that way on paper, everybody looked the same, didn't they? But then you get everybody in a meeting and you're like, oh, that's Tom Jones, and Tom Jones doesn't look like a Tom Jones. Tom Jones looks like who Tom Jones really is back at China. A lot of the German citizens did the same thing. The subjects from Germany did the same thing. Over there, they had different names in their registry, but then when they came here, they said, "Okay, I'll just be Bob Scott. I'll be Robert Scott." But over there, they're Heinz Fritz Florenbacher over there. And I'm just using that as an example. So everyone knew the dynamic. They also knew that whenever they saw us and the holy sovereign appellations that our mother gave us, they also knew that that's a holy sovereign appellation. No matter what your appellation is, your sovereign-born appellation, it's holy, it's sovereign, and the estate goes through that.
Islam.
Yes, Islam.
You know, the whole conversation tonight, I know you said you were going to go back through it. I just want to bring it up before we go too far away from it. The point that I made earlier, this is what Muammar Gaddafi was doing in Libya. Yeah. And we're going to go back and tie that in because it was nationalizing the resources, the corporations, the companies, the banks, all the resources of the land, but yet the monarch or the rulers, the sovereigns, were behind it. And they were still above it and in charge of it. And that is why they took him off the board, because he was no longer going to play in their play box with just the corporate veil controlled by them. And it was their control that he was taken off and keep putting it back under the sovereign so that he could serve the needs of the people. That's what he was doing.
We honor his sacrifice. He knew what he was doing, and he knew that they would take him out for that. We honor his sacrifice. He enacted what it looks like when the leaders, all of us, if we capitulate. See, he let them come over there.
Don't say that.
Who is that?
Islam? I'm not sure who that is. They might. That was Empress Nevaeh. I believe she probably was talking to one of her heirs. Islam. So, Empress Nevaeh. Islam. So, what he did was he showed us what it looks like when you're trying to do things, but you have corporate contracts. What happens when you're trying to access natural resources, but you keep meeting with Condoleezza Rice and others, and every time you meet with them, they got you signing a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
He was demonstrating, don't sign with them, even if they look like you don't sign with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are those that were acting as policy enforcers in the last era. Some of them are even in our clans.
Yes, unfortunate.
We don't care who it is. We're not signing. Listen, and that's why I really have to give honor to my consort, because there's been some things that he said, well, you got to sign this, and I'm like, I'm not signing that.
I don't.
I'm not signing that. And you know what? He would be mad for a minute or two, but he would make do. I said, well, there's a way for me to do it. Oh no, you can't be giving them that paper. Okay, then I can't. I'm sorry, babe, I can't do that. And when I say babe, I'm saying minor. I can't do that. But I honor him because he still, he knows that what we're doing is right, though. He's seen it in action. He's seen more science work.
He's making his progress at his own pace, in other words.
He's progressing at his own pace, and that's why we honor him.
Yeah.
And we let him be himself.
The one thing I will say, after doing a bit more research, even before we created all this, because I'm such a historian type of person, I love history, and I love reading about what is not being told. So when I discovered that he had put an end in his country, there was nobody homeless at all. Not one person was homeless on the street. There were no people starving and begging in the streets. They had free health care, the best health care, education. They had all of that. And then for some reason, because they went over and stirred up a hornet's nest, told a bunch of lies like the corporations always do, next thing you know, you got the people turning on them. So it just goes to show you're absolutely right. We cannot contract with them. And for us, pulling ourselves out of the funny mirror, as we call it, the ending of those corporate contracts is so paramount to get that on the public record.
Yes. So
anyone who has not done that yet, I would just simply encourage you, if you're just listening to this for the first time, on a recording, not necessarily today, but later in the future, get it done. because that is the key to your. That's one of the keys to your freedom.
Yes.
You're fucking delusional.
And, don't listen to anyone who tells you otherwise. When they say, like, the interruptions that we keep, noticing every so often, they want to keep you aware within the corporate construct. So they will try to dissuade you, to stay within the confines of what they can control. Because it's at a wrap, it's at an end, period.
Yeah.
Islam.
Thank you for stating that, Noble Phoenix, because this is what we encourage everyone to do. Go ahead and put the documents on the public record, even if you still have whatever you have. Just and when I say whatever you have, I mean by way of you're still using things that you contracted with and all of that. Go ahead and still put the documents on the public record, and the ancestors will take their time, and each experience is going to be according to the energy that you put out. If you put out war energy, war is going to come back. Don't do that. If you put out peace energy, even when you're being tested, the ancestors will ensure that nothing happens to you in terms of you won't be physically hurt. You will stand and you'll be fine. Not only will you be fine, you'll be better than you were before that thing happened. And here's the thing, when things happen, don't harbor any resistance. And when I say resistance, I mean don't be angry with the subjects because they were doing what we hired them to do initially. Until we come and wake them up and stand them up as subjects, living subjects, they have a job to do. They're going to do their job because they don't want our judgment on them for not doing their job. Okay, they did. Now that we have stated subjects, we just keep moving. Put the documents on a public record and just take your time otherwise. But if you do nothing else, declare your nationality on the public record today. Do it now. I cannot stress that enough. We can't tell sovereigns what to do, but I am going to state and highly suggest that you put all 6 of those documents on the public record, and then demonstrate at the level of your overstanding. Study the documents, but put them on the record, and then and be studying as you go. Because guess what? Even those of us who've been doing these things and receiving the information, our filters and chakras have been open. Our ancestors have been filling that space with beautiful information. We're still learning things and remembering things about the information that's on those documents. I just realized this just in the last couple of days that AA 222141A1 is everywhere in all the holy writings. And when the ancestors began to show me where we don't need to throw any books away, we'll burn the books after we restate them. We'll burn the ones that we restated from. That's where book burning came from. Fire and sword letters that state that no one is in possession of anything except the Moors, the heirs, and our subjects. So where vital statistics is concerned, that's why nationality is so important, and that's why we're stating what we're stating. Thank you for asking about the persons, because the report of live birth, a report of live birth is just a corporate document from vital statistics, which we're vital statistics. An affidavit is where we sign our L and B, and so on and so forth. Okay? You report to the creditor United States by corporate document, by reports to the creditor. Your creditor person reports there, but the sovereign has to make that statement by affidavit. And that's why it's saying what it's saying about the report of live birth. We witness our own documents. Why? Because the jurisdictions are different. Pauline, Denise, Richie, and all lowercase letters can, because that's God, and it's your holy sovereign appellation in all lowercase letters is God too. God can be the witness for all other documents, whether they be people, common documents, or whether they be corporate documents. God can witness all of that by affidavit first, and must witness everything by affidavit. No one is declared alive lest the sovereigns declare it first. No one is alive unless the sovereigns declare it first, and we've declared that. It says number six. Number 6 is going to be important because it's number 6 first and foremost. Empress Nevaeh, that's fine. We know you got a lot going on over there, Empress. No need to apologize. Islam. When the live birth occurs on a moving conveyance. Now notice they didn't say a car, they didn't say an automobile, they didn't say a vehicle. They said a moving conveyance because they know our science. When the live birth occurs on a moving conveyance, that means you're going from one place to the next. You're going from ancient Morocco to the United States, but you're not leaving ancient Morocco because the United States that you're going to, it was born and naturalized and nationalized, rather, at that same ancient land that you stand on. It says, when the live birth occurs on a moving conveyance within the United States and the child is first removed from the conveyance in state, the place where the child is first removed from the conveyance must be registered as the place of live birth. In other words, where you came from is where you're registered, and for us it's recorded. That means ancient Morocco. And then you can convey throughout the United States.
Islam,
Empress.
Well, I also take that to be where the live birth occurs on moving conveyance. That would be a mother. A mother is a moving conveyance, and when she, pushes the baby out her self gate, then that's why it states that it must be first recorded from the conveyance. The mother is has flag flying. She is the nation state.
Yes. Yeah.
Islam.
And again, those facts right there, Empress, first of all, those are facts. They can't be disputed in any court. Those are facts. Number 2 about the facts is they can't be tried in any court. And number 3, the facts about the mother being the conveyance method by which others are all are crowned, who have crowns, is, see, here's the thing, even our subjects have an estate. Their estate is to be subjects to us. That's their estate. It is an honor, an estate for honor. And so these principles for how live birth occurs, it's all about where you come from. Where you come from determines how you move where you're going. So it says here, while in international waters or airspace, or in a foreign country or its airspace, and the child is first removed from the conveyance in state, the live birth must be registered in this state. So they're talking about now, when you're talking about foreign and international and all this kind of old stuff, all of that, when you're talking about that, you're talking about the United States in terms of a foreign entity. No, there was never a Moor born in the United States. Never. Never. We were all born in ancient Morocco. And in the Prophet Noble Jew Ali's trust, it states that all were supposed to be, on paper, given back to ancient Morocco. So our prophet knew that something had happened where people were claiming to be born in the United States when we're not. And that's why it was important for us to state that we're the creditor United States. That way, Moors are automatically born at ancient Morocco for our United States, according to the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says if you weren't born in the United States, then no, not immunities and privileges, but you refer back to Article 5 and Article 2, Section 2, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2. The treaty clause, refer back to that, because now you're talking treaty law. So it says here, the report of live birth under this subsection must show the actual place of live birth insofar as can be determined. Why do they say insofar as can be determined? It's because they knew that the places that were being put on birth certificates, quote unquote, was not competent. It was a guess. There's no such thing as 2-letter states like WA, W-A. That's not a state. Al for Alabama. That's not a state. AK for Alaska. That's not a state. Not a state. SL for Florida. That's not a state. And so the actual place means write it out where you were, and you're automatically placing yourself in the proper jurisdiction and your heirs. The facility, number 7, the facility representative or midwife shall provide written and oral information and required forms furnished by the Department of Social and Health Services and the state registrar to the parents of a child about establishing parentage pursuant to this revised code here. Let me make a note here that the facility representative and midwife are expecting documentations from Department of Social and Health Services in all lowercase letters. Who is that? It's a ministry, and it's the Moors. The state registrar in all lowercase letters. Why didn't they put it in uppercase letters? Because they know there's no such madness that exists. That the sovereign state is first. And then it says here, a report of a live-born child of unknown parentage must be registered in accordance to whatever this is. A delayed report of live birth, this one is actually this next one, I believe. A delayed report of live birth filed after 1 year from the date of live birth must be registered in accordance to this revised code for Washington. And now really quickly in conclusion, it says here, when a live birth of child of unknown parentage, when a child is found, come on, they're talking about those claiming to be the founders of the United States Corporation Company, the debtor. They were pretending like they walked onto some land and found a bunch of children with no parents. So they said unknown parentage. And then they said, when a child is found for whom no record of live birth is known to be on file, within 10 calendar days of the child being found, a report of a live birth must be filed with the department in a manner prescribed by the state registrar. They said a report, but no affidavit. No affidavit. Why? Because they're going to do the affidavit behind closed doors. That's the part you didn't see. And they're not going to put that here. You're supposed to know to do affidavits, to speak by affidavit. Government affidavit at that. It says if the child is identified at a later date. Now this is important. This is the nationality clause. This article, part 2, the nationality clause. If the child is identified at a later date and another live birth record is found, not created, but found, the state registrar shall void the record registered under subsection 1 of this section. How do you void an incompetent birth record? How do you void it? First, by producing the real one, by generating the real one. Next, by leaning the fake one. Because when you lean it, you're saying that's a debtor instrument. It's not the real one. It's not the creditor, it's the debtor instrument. Then you levy anything that instrument was claiming, any property, anything, you levy it. And then you bond the new instrument. And when you bond the new instrument, then you have successfully voided the old one and put the new one in its place, because nature abhors a vacuum. That place cannot be, that space that's left by removal of a bad birth certificate or of an unlawful and illegal birth certificate must be filled with something that is right and lawful. And if it's not competent, they're going to try and put that fake one back in place. That's the problem that Moors have had in the past, is that we would do things and we would do it only partially, and we would get that part right, but wherever there was a space left in the process, they would try and worm their way back in that way. And then sometimes more would be like, oh, the document didn't work because they came and did this, which was different from what they did initially. Well, they couldn't do the same thing initially because you got that part right. But then there was further steps to take. And once you get those further steps, just like in Monopoly, if you've ever played the board game Monopoly, you take a few steps and a few things happen, but you're still not the wealthy one that got Boardwalk and Park Place, because those are the wealthiest things. You got to take some more steps, But that's by your own doing. No one rolls the dice for you. You do it. And then you take the steps according to what you rolled. That's looking at the process. Except with what we're doing, it's not even a matter of rolling dice. It's a matter of what you write, and is what you wrote competent. And not only is it competent, because you can write competent stuff all day, but you must be able to state and overstand and understand and absorb everything that you've written. This right here is the nationality clause, that you not only present the right one, but void the other one. Go back and void that mess. That's what all of these processes are about. So, are there any questions, comments, wisdom regarding any of the things that we stated?
Islam
Empress.
Grand Rising Empress. Grand Rising Lord.
Great Rising.
Cena Renee, Wright, Randall. Chosen appellation is Yamiya, Haris, Albiha, Abaha, Allah, Bay. That's a long name. Thank you for your patience. I was looking at the indigenous status change that is being discussed through social media, and how to fill out the application for this and what you're supposed to receive afterward.
Mm-hmm.
And as I looked through the instructions for that, I saw that the processes were very similar to what we're already doing.
Yes.
Very similar. And it blew me away. It blew me away. I said, but through reading it, I saw how we would, if we were to go that route, claiming an Indian tribe instead of claiming a nationality, that And then on that, they removed Negro and Black, and they're asking that you take the status of white and American Indian. And I knew that was all wrong. It was all in my spirit. The ancestors were speaking to me at that time, and they was like, no, this is all wrong. This is going to cause you to remain in the same status and have Native Americans, the ones that are saying they're Indians, Native Americans and their tribes, and then you're also going to have the Albions looking at you like, how dare you claim a white status? So I feel like, oh the baby's crying. Okay. Sorry about that. Excuse me, y'all. And I felt like that was like the biggest trap. It's a trap, and they're using fiat as bait.
Yeah.
Something around $1,100 a month supposedly, and all this other things. And I see a lot of the sleeping Moors really diving into this, and it kind of, I was disturbed. And I just want to know anybody's thoughts on that. Islam, thank you for letting me speak.
Islam, and we love to hear the heirs, by the way. Let me say this about that, Empress. If you are not of the bloodline and birthright, you're not white. White is not only a legal status, but it's also a sovereign status. And when I say sovereign status, I don't mean it takes the place of our sovereign status. I mean it is a characteristic associated with our status. Those who are from India, because that's where Indians come from. They come from India. That's why they're called Indians. And we love our Indian people. We love them because they are a people, indeed. They held space while we slept. We honor them for that. The ones who know who they really are will not fall for the trickery. Because if all they're going to do is look at the source of where that's coming from. Okay. And the sleeping Moors who ascribe to those principles, for us, we don't let that bother us at all, Empress, by the way, because we know that everyone has their journey. Everyone has their journey, and when the time is right, because this is a grand rising, they're going to elevate their knowledge and information about who they are, at the appointed time. For us, we're just grateful that they know they're not black. And then we say, okay, if they just keep studying, they're gonna keep getting the right answers. Because something led them to know that they're not black. They know that's not right. Now, it might have been the fiat, but see, the fiat is going away anyway. And anybody that gets hungry enough is going to start looking for the right way. And I'm not saying they're going to be hungry, because they're not. We're going to make sure. But anybody whose spirit, let me put it that way, gets hungry enough for truth, they'll start looking, and they'll keep looking. They'll keep looking. So, the same way that we're studying and expressing the things that we're expressing and the things that we know, these are facts. Facts. Proven facts. We see how everything was written from a lower place, a lower energies, the lower self-writing, and we're just elevating and uplifting all of that. And as we uplift ourselves fallen humanity is coming with us. They're going to be up. They won't be fallen any longer. So we don't worry about other people's journeys because we know that their journey doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. They have, and this is my thing about the fiat piece. No, we don't use it. No, we don't. That's not ours. It's not ours. We have our own money. But the thing about it is they have every right to desire a better life because that's in their blood. They have the right to desire a better life. It's up to us to present that uncorrupted, in an uncorrupted manner. So that's what we're doing. Our ancestors have given us some information and some things that are for us to demonstrate. And that's what we're going to continue to do. After watching Dubai and the things that they did, we honor their acting. We honor it. They were great actors, and they absolutely enjoyed that acting too. It did not come without its trials and tests for them, because they've had to actually do that type of acting and stuff, even in the midst of them, of the enactment of everything being taken and the fiat being taken away and all of that stuff, So just in watching all of that, and then seeing our own growth, we're grateful that the ancestors, first and foremost, had us to manifest the bloodline and birthright in the manner that we have, and next to perpetuate into perpetuity this bloodline and birthright. That's why we're here, is to perpetuate the bloodline and birthright further into eternity. That is a huge honor for all of us. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom at all? Questions, comments, wisdom. Okay. We are going to stop here we're going to adjourn until Sunday. Please remember the 3-day fast that starts tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, our 3-day full moon fast. I'm telling you, when your system is free and clear, the energies are just so much more palpable. You can literally feel them going through your body. So with that being stated, we're right on the hour. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace and grand rising. Peace and grand rising. Peace and grand rising. Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam and Islam. Islam, indeed.